Welcome to the Future Strong podcast. Today we're tackling the story of Cornelius Vanderbilt, a true giant of American industry. You shared some really compelling material about him, and our aim is to understand what propelled this 19th century figure to such immense power, and maybe what enduring lessons we might find. We've got insights from Shane Parrish's blog and an excerpt highlighting Vanderbilt's, well, quite remarkable ability to handle discomfort.
Absolutely. And Vanderbilt, he did more than just compete. He fundamentally reshaped the United States economy, didn't he? Steering it from a largely rural, trade-based system towards, well, the world of big business as we kind of know it.
Yeah.
What's particularly fascinating, I think, is his success across not just one industry, but three key ones. Ferries, steamships, and railroads.
Three. That's impressive.
It is. He clearly grasped the strategic advantage, of controlling the essential infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start there then. Let's look at Vanderbilt's adaptability. He wasn't someone who clung to the past, was he? As new, more effective technologies emerged, he just embraced them. Moving from ferries to steamships and then, pretty decisively, into railroads. What does this willingness to evolve tell you about staying ahead?
Well, what stands out for me is his readiness to sort of discard what was currently successful for something even better. It underscores a crucial lesson, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't become so attached to your initial wins or the tech that got you there that you miss the next big shift.
Yeah.
He kept his focus on the fundamental need, efficient transportation, and wasn't sentimental about the tools.
That makes sense. Not sentimental.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, maybe in your own field,
Yeah.
what assumptions are you holding on to that might need a rethink?
That's a powerful point. Okay, now, another idea that really comes through in the sources is this concept of gradually, then suddenly. Vanderbilt wasn't after instant gratification, not at all. He was apparently prepared to accept short-term losses, to achieve that significant long-term market dominance. This gradually, then suddenly approach. It might seem a bit at odds with today's 24/7 news cycle and that constant pressure for immediate results. What are your initial thoughts on this kind of long game strategy?
Well, if we connect this maybe to a deeper understanding of how markets evolve, it really highlights the power of building a strong foundation. Like you said, he wasn't playing for quarterly earnings. He was constructing an empire.
An empire.
And sometimes this meant absorbing losses, weakening rivals, establishing critical infrastructure, but always with the clear understanding that the eventual payoff would be substantial and lasting. It requires a rare combination of patience and unwavering belief in your long-term vision.
Patience and belief. It does make you think about areas where maybe we sacrifice long-term gains for those short-term wins. And this links directly to what the sources describe as a taste for salt water. This phrase really captures Vanderbilt's kind of extraordinary tolerance for pain, physical, financial, psychological, all of it.
Yeah, the sources give some vivid examples, don't they?
They do. Piloting ferries through severe blizzards, operating at break-even prices just to crush competitors, and even making these very credible threats to cut off rail access to New York City.
Wow.
The excerpt we looked at suggests that truly exceptional people see discomfort not as a signal to stop, but as evidence they're on the right path. It proposes that what looks like genius is often just a really high tolerance for pain.
Pain tolerance disguised as genius. I like that.
Yeah. Even in sailboat racing, apparently the Vanderbilt start signifies this confidence and, I guess, comfort with discomfort. How do you see this taste for saltwater playing out today in modern competitive environments?
Well, it raises a really important question, I think, about where true competitive advantage actually comes from. In a world that often emphasizes talent, or maybe access to resources, Vanderbilt's story underscores the immense power of just sheer resilience and that willingness to endure hardship that maybe others simply won't.
Just pushing through.
Right. It suggests that being able to push through difficulty, long hours, financial risk, intense pressure, that can be a very significant differentiator. The Vanderbilt start in sailing is a brilliant analogy, isn't it?
Yeah.
A willingness to be slightly out of sync initially, but trusting in your ability to handle the conditions and, ultimately pull ahead.
Yeah, trusting yourself. It prompts you to consider where in your own life maybe might a greater willingness to embrace discomfort lead to a breakthrough.
It's a good question.
It's almost as if he operated with this incredible level of, well, what some might call high agency. Vanderbilt wasn't content just being a passive investor. He wanted control. It was seemingly all or nothing for him. What does this level of conviction, this desire for control, tell you about his basic approach?
What's particularly striking there is his fundamental refusal to just be a passive observer.
Yeah.
He wasn't just looking for opportunities, he was actively creating them,
Shaping them.
creating and shaping.
Yeah, this deep desire for control speaks to a profound belief in his own judgment, I think, and a readiness to take full responsibility for the outcomes, good and bad. It's about being the driver, right? Not just a passenger.
Being the driver, okay. The sources also highlight Vanderbilt's knack for showmanship. This is interesting. He often presented himself as the underdog, even when he was challenging existing monopolies.
Right, which seems counterintuitive. It does. But once he achieved victory, he essentially became the new dominant power, yet somehow often maintained public sympathy. By making business seem like high-drama steamboat races, railroad blockades, he really captured the public's imagination. Why do you think this showmanship was such an effective tool for him?
Well, if we connect this maybe to the broader dynamics of influence, his showmanship allowed him to control the narrative. That's huge. By portraying himself as fighting against established, maybe unpopular powers, he could cultivate public support, which is incredibly valuable back then, before sophisticated PR and mass media like we have now.
Good point. Controlling the narrative.
Yeah. It made his successes feel like victories for the common person, even if the main benefits ultimately went to him. It makes you think about how important framing is, framing your own initiatives.
It does. And then there's the undeniable aspect of burn the boats.
Ah, yes, the ruthless side.
Exactly. This wasn't just about winning. It was about achieving complete dominance. If you crossed Vanderbilt, the sources suggest he aimed to, financially or otherwise just, eliminate you as a competitor. This ruthlessness is a recurring theme. How do you reconcile that part of him with, say, the showmanship that seemed to court public favor?
That raises a significant point about the sheer intensity of his ambition, doesn't it? And the methods he was willing to use. His ruthlessness was undoubtedly a key component of his strategy for achieving and maintaining that dominant position. The showmanship might have served to soften his public image, maybe, but ultimately his actions showed an unwavering focus on winning.
Unwavering focus.
Even if it meant the complete downfall of his rivals. It highlights a potentially, darker side to his incredible drive. It makes you think, in competitive fields today, where do people draw the line?
Yeah, where is the line? Interestingly, the sources say Vanderbilt often operated with limited financial leverage. Instead, he was remarkably skilled at identifying and exploiting his competitors' weaknesses, sometimes even playing a role in creating those vulnerabilities himself. This points to a different kind of leverage strategic positioning. What can we learn from that approach?
What's fascinating here is that it really demonstrates that overwhelming financial power isn't the only path to success. It's not just about money. His ability to anticipate market shifts, pinpoint vulnerabilities in rivals' operations, and then strategically position himself to capitalize on those weaknesses, that was a powerful form of leverage in itself. It's a valuable reminder, I think, to look beyond just the financial metrics, to really analyze the competitive landscape and figure out where others are vulnerable. Maybe think less about outspending and more about outsmarting.
Outsmarting, not just outspending. I like that. The sources also describe what's termed dark hours. This refers to Vanderbilt's preference for operating, discreetly, in the shadows.
Secret deals and hidden moves.
Exactly. Clandestine stock purchases, strategically turning rivals against each other, executing secret deals. By the time his competitors fully grasped what was happening, it was often too late for them to react effectively. This element of surprise, of secrecy, seems pretty crucial to his overall strategy. What does this suggest about his competitive mindset?
It certainly underscores his intensely competitive nature and also his understanding of information asymmetry, knowing more than the other guy. By operating in the shadows, he denied his competitors the chance to counter his moves effectively. Surprise was a significant weapon in his arsenal. It highlights his strategic thinking, definitely, and his willingness to exploit any advantage he could create.
Any advantage.
Yeah, it prompts a question, doesn't it? In your own strategic planning, how much emphasis do you place on surprise or on maybe keeping key initiatives under wraps?
It's worth considering. Finally, the sources touch upon the right recipe, meaning Vanderbilt had multiple ways of generating wealth, which is interesting. He profited from intense competition sometimes.
Right.
From deliberately avoiding competition through agreements other times, and ultimately from establishing dominant monopolies. He also had a keen eye for identifying truly lucrative opportunities, like those mail contracts between New York and San Francisco. Big money there.
Yeah, following the money.
This resonates with the modern idea of diversifying income streams, doesn't it? What does this multifaceted approach tell you about his understanding of business and wealth creation?
Well, if we link this back to his adaptability and his strategic thinking, it reveals a deep understanding of different market dynamics and how to extract value in various situations. He wasn't tied to a single business model, was he? Or just one way of making money.
No, definitely not.
His ability to profit in diverse ways highlights a very strategic and opportunistic mindset, always seeking the most advantageous position in the market. It reinforces the importance of not being too rigid in your own approach, being open to multiple avenues for success.
So, reflecting on Vanderbilt's whole journey, his adaptability, that long-term vision, his incredible tolerance for discomfort, the desire for control, his showmanship, the ruthlessness, strategic positioning, the secrecy, and these diverse ways of generating wealth, it's clear he was an exceptionally complex figure and incredibly formidable in American history.
The sources really do paint a picture of someone who deeply understood the levers of power in a rapidly transforming economy. No doubt about it. His story raises these enduring questions about ambition, about competition, and maybe the fundamental principles of building lasting success. What resonates most with you as we kind of wrap up this exploration of the Vanderbilt material?
For me, I think it keeps coming back to that taste for salt water. The idea that sometimes the most significant advantage isn't just inherent talent or resources, but simply the willingness to endure the challenges, the discomfort that others actively avoid.
A grit.
Yeah, the grit. It's definitely something to keep in mind, I think, as you navigate your own path, whatever that might be.